I spent half my life as a married with regrets with Sophia Taylor. She hated me for tying her down with marriage and children, for costing her the chance to go to Los Angeles and become a singer. I hated her for running off and making a mess, leaving the gravely ill Robert Taylor, Emily Taylor, and Olivia Johnson all to me. And in our mutual resentment, we were reborn. We exchanged a glance amid the crowd, then turned without hesitation and went our separate ways. I hope this time, neither of us will have regrets. On the day I changed my college choice, Michael Johnson came into the study, glanced at me, and gave an approving nod. Good. With grades at high, you should go to a good university. Stop hanging around that Taylor girl all the time. What's so great about her? Linda Johnson heard the noise in the kitchen, hurried in, pulled Michael Johnson away, and glared at him. I watched my parents' departing backs with a smile, and suddenly felt a sting in my nose. In my previous life, because I went to the train station to find Sophia, I ran out of the house late at night. My parents, searching for me, were hit and killed by a drunk truck driver, and until the end, I never had the chance to see them one last time. I held back my tears, moved the mouse, and pressed the confirmation button to change my college choice without hesitation. In my previous life, my childhood friend who grew up with me, Sophia Taylor, suddenly said she wanted to be a singer, to go to Los Angeles to chase her dream and fulfill it. But before that, she had always said that being with me and us attending the same university was her dream. For that, I didn't hesitate to waste my score of over 600 points and applied with her to the same second-tier university. But 2 days before the acceptance letter arrived, she suddenly said she was going to Los Angeles to chase her dreams. Sickly Emily Taylor and Robert Taylor knocked on my door in the middle of the night, begging me to help them find their daughter. Last life I went, my parents, worried I would follow, went after me and had a car accident. I later found Sophia, hearing Emily Taylor and Robert Taylor say it was all because of her that my parents died, so she must compensate me. So they forced Sophia and me to get engaged first, planning for us to marry as soon as we graduated college. At that time, our relationship was still good. Sophia had just started her sophomore year when she became pregnant. We hadn't wanted to have a child so early, but a hospital check revealed Sophia was in poor health. This might be her only child in her life. I felt guilty and volunteered to take a leave from school to care for the family. So I and she hurried to register our marriage. She became pregnant, gave birth, and observed the confinement period. I never passed the tasks to anyone else. I handled everything personally. 2 years flew by, Olivia Johnson grew a bit older, and I was eager to return to campus, only to encounter Robert Taylor and Emily Taylor seriously ill and coming to our place for treatment. Sophia told me to be sensible. Her parents had already worked very hard so she could go to school, and now they'd fallen ill and needed someone to take care of them. As for her, of course, she went to work to earn money and support the household. At the time, for Sophia's sake, I didn't say that the $3,500 a month salary she was earning wasn't even enough to cover Olivia Johnson's formula and the household's normal expenses. Later, I could only sell the family house to pay for Robert Taylor's and Emily Taylor's medical care, while raising Olivia Johnson to adulthood. But while I gave up my studies and worked hard to run the whole household, she spent her $3,500 monthly salary making friends with a bunch of riffraff. She also used that meager money to make music, saying she had to pursue her dream. Crushed by family pressures, I asked to return to school, but she said I was too old and studying was useless, that I'd spend the rest of my life at home as a house husband. After several failed attempts at communication, the two of us started arguing loudly. She began to call me sharp-tongued and narrow-minded, saying that if I hadn't insisted on bringing her back, she would have become a big singing star in Los Angeles by now. She also accused me of using my parents' deaths to morally blackmail her, forcing her to marry me. I didn't hold back either, calling her a dreamer and saying with her cracked voice she was delusional to think she could be a singer. When she mentioned my parents' deaths, I lost my mind and lunged at her to shut her up, but I was shoved away hard. After that, Sophia began deliberately staying out of the house, and Olivia Johnson's Robert Taylor and Emily Taylor blamed everything on me, complaining that a grown man like me didn't know how to appease his wife and only managed to make her angry. They completely forgot how they had begged me to find their daughter back then. In this broken life, I gritted my teeth and tightened my belt to do odd jobs for money, to support the whole family. But the Olivia Johnson I raised with so much effort never grew close to me. She was very close to the irresponsible Sophia. I thought Olivia Johnson would understand things as she grew up, so I waiting more than 20 years, until she married and started her own family. But she kept coaxing to bring Sophia to live with her, while she was cold and indifferent toward me. Dad, you controlled us too much before. We don't want to hear any more lectures. Mom's youthful dream was crushed by you. Now that she's older, we need to take her to Los Angeles to chase her dream again. Grandma and Grandpa are right. You just want everyone to live the life you've planned. You're selfish. I didn't expect my Olivia Johnson to say that. Distraught, I went home and saw Sophia proudly packing her suitcase, showing off that she was about to leave me and go live a good life. I've managed this family for over 20 years, and in the end, I'm labeled as selfish and controlling. Why does Sophia get to be so carefree? She neglects the house and her duties, and in the end, she becomes the understanding mother in Olivia Johnson's heart. I rushed forward and shoved Sophia over. Sophia froze for a moment, then immediately grabbed a vase and smashed it toward me. Ethan Johnson, you actually hit me. Do you think I'm someone to be bullied? So our deaths were actually the repercussions each of us deserved after beating each other up. The moment we both fell to the ground, I was still praying in my heart that if there is another life, please never let me meet Sophia Taylor again. The day I was reborn happened to be the same day I changed my college preferences. Looking at my parents who were still by my side, I resolved never to get involved in anything related to Sophia Taylor again. After the college entrance exam ended, parties came one after another. My close friend Jake Wilson and I had just finished a gathering when we saw Sophia Taylor not far away, laughing and chatting with a few of her sisters. I heard Sophia isn't going to school anymore. She's going to Los Angeles to be a singer. Wow, is going to Los Angeles to chase dreams the latest trend now? If she becomes a big star, shouldn't we start asking for a few signed photos to keep as investments? Ethan, didn't you grow up with Sophia? You knew she was going to Los Angeles, right? The guy beside me, Jake Wilson, nudged me. My gaze happened to slip past the crowd and met Sophia's as she turned her head without thinking. Just from that one look, I was certain that Sophia had been reborn too. I don't know. I have things to do. I'm heading back first. I turned away without a second thought. If she's going to Los Angeles, let her go. Her life has nothing to do with me. As the day Sophia was leaving drew nearer, I told my parents that I was stressed after the college entrance exams and wanted to stay at Margaret Johnson's home in the countryside for a few days to relax. My parents have always cared about my mental health. Without a word, they packed their bags and took me out. At that moment, Emily Taylor happened to open the door and, seeing us about to leave, froze for a moment. Going out, Michael Johnson nodded with a smile. The child misses his grandmother. We're going away for a few days. Emily Taylor smiled and nodded, watching us leave. I pretended to be nonchalant, but inside I was clenching my fists in hatred, determined not to let my emotions show. It's laughable that in my previous life, I thought Emily Taylor treated me sincerely. Only later did I discover she had been eyeing my family's house all along, which is why she worked so hard to push through my marriage to Sophia after my parents died. Back then, without my parents, I was listless and dazed every day, even neglecting to eat. Kind and gentle Emily Taylor took care of me constantly, letting me drop all my guard. And since I also liked Sophia, I naturally agreed. Little did I expect that she had been prepared from the start. I took a deep breath, hid the slight tremor caused by anger, and smiled as I told my parents that Margaret Johnson's family had just gotten a puppy, but out of the corner of my eye saw Sophia hurrying along. Sophia must have sensed that I had been reborn too, so she had to bring forward her plan to run away from home and chase her dreams. My parents and I had just arrived at Margaret Johnson's house and were happily eating dinner when Linda Johnson received a call from Emily Taylor. Sophia insists on going to Los Angeles to be a singer and refuses to continue school. She's acting like her life depends on it and wants to go to LA no matter what. Robert and I can't get through to her. Could Ethan come back for a visit to talk some sense into her? After all, the two kids are close, and Sophia listens to Ethan. The line was little different from last life. Linda Johnson looked at me with some difficulty. After all, at this hour we were still in the countryside, and it wouldn't be easy to return. I calmly put down my chopsticks and took the phone from Linda Johnson's hand. Aunt Emily, this is Sophia's own decision. I can't interfere. Even if I did, she would resent me. I think you should respect her. I decisively hung up and didn't forget to block Emily Taylor's number. My brisk actions left even my parents staring in surprise. Margaret Johnson spoke up first telling them to eat and muttering that other people's matters are their own karma and we shouldn't interfere. I couldn't agree more with Grandma. She was absolutely right. After dinner, I crouched in the yard stroking the soft head of the puppy while Mom and Dad came over. "Ethan, what's been going on with you lately?" Linda Johnson trailed off. "I just feel like you're not the same." Michael Johnson didn't say anything, but he looked at me with concern. Their looks made my nose sting. I wiped my eyes, and there were actually tears. "Mom, Dad, I had a dream." I lied that I had dreamed it and recounted everything that happened in my previous life. When they learned that after their deaths, I had been toyed with by the Taylor family the whole time, Michael Johnson's face turned as black as a pot bottom. They had always believed me, and it helped that I began my story with Sophia's plan to go to Los Angeles and Emily Taylor asking me to find someone. They also understood why I had suddenly come to Margaret Johnson's house and why I had been so determined not to look for Sophia. Good child. Linda Johnson has always had shallow eye sockets. Even knowing this was just a dream, she couldn't help but have red eyes. She touched my head, tears dropping one by one onto the top of my skull, aching with worry. Michael Johnson stood to the side, lit a cigarette, and made a decision. Ethan having this dream might mean the old Taylor family is incompatible with ours. I've thought it through. We're moving when we get back. Stay away from them. I didn't expect my parents to support me this much. My nose prickled, and I nodded through my tears. After spending half a month in the countryside, I could visibly see that I'd gotten a lot darker. When we left, Margaret Johnson even packed a whole carload of food for us. We still had to live in the old house for a while before moving, and just as the three of us reached the front door, Emily Taylor from across the hall quickly opened her door. Her eyes were red from crying as she looked at us, a few strands of unmistakable resentment visible in them. "Why didn't you answer my calls?" When Emily Taylor demanded, her face was even a little contorted. "Why didn't you come back to help me look for Sophia?" Emily Taylor suddenly shouted. Her parents were startled, clearly not expecting her to be so agitated. I, on the other hand, looked at her coldly. After more than 20 years together, I know better than anyone how adept this woman is at putting on a show and twisting the truth. Linda Johnson couldn't stand it and was about to speak, but I tugged her sleeve. "Let's go in. There's no need." Linda Johnson glared fiercely at Emily Taylor, but couldn't help throwing out, "You can't control your own daughter and want our Ethan to help? What kind of relationship does Ethan have with your daughter to do something like that? You've picked the wrong person. I'm telling you." Once inside, Michael Johnson immediately began contacting friends, arranged to view houses that afternoon, and if all went well, they might be able to move as early as tomorrow. Linda Johnson and I sat on the couch, and Mom absent-mindedly patted my head. It's okay, we're far away from them. We'll be far away soon." I felt Linda Johnson's anxiety and smiled to reassure her. "It's okay, Mom. It was just a dream." The speed of viewing and changing houses was faster than I had imagined. Even faster was the arrival of the acceptance letter. This time there was no Sophia, no car accident, and I happily went to the school to collect my acceptance letter. When I went home, Mom and Dad were still discussing how much allowance to give me. We laughed together, unbearably happy. Only occasionally did I dream of my past life, how I supported a family with meager savings, endured the complaints of Robert Taylor and Emily Taylor, Olivia Johnson's lack of understanding, the mutual insults with Sophia, and survived those years. Fortunately, I was starting over. Before long, school began. The moment I stepped onto the university campus, my parents beside me were pleased with my decision to change my major. Last life at this time, I had just finished my parents' funeral and, distraught, went with Sophia to a second-tier college in the suburbs. Whenever people asked what our relationship was, Sophia would unconsciously keep some distance from me, then force a somewhat awkward smile. She said I was her classmate, even though we were already engaged back then. I shook my head, shook off the extra thoughts, and went with my parents to the registration desk to check in. New school, new beginning. After my parents reluctantly left, I quickly adapted to the new environment. Everything around me felt incredibly precious. In my previous life, I couldn't continue my studies because I was taking care of Olivia Johnson and the family. Now that I finally have the chance to continue, I'm happier than anyone. When I went home for winter break, I brought scholarships and the Gaufori I earned from writing articles and bought each of my parents a gift. They smiled until their eyes were slits, constantly praising me as a filial good son. That night, my parents teamed up to make a big meal for me. At the dinner table, the family chatted about recent events until Linda Johnson casually mentioned that she had seen Emily Taylor a couple of days ago. She and her husband Robert went to the market to sell vegetables. Originally, after both of them were laid off, they lived only on welfare, barely getting by. Linda Johnson sighed. I heard Sophia signed with some company in Los Angeles. The monthly training fees alone are several $1,000s, and it doesn't include room and board. If she actually succeeds, fine, but if she doesn't, I kept my head down as I served myself, but a mocking smile curled in my heart. Sophia won't succeed, and that's absolutely not me cursing her. Sophia was flamboyant by nature, someone who couldn't help showing off. As soon as she signed with some company, she posted it on her social account. But she was so focused on having a company sign her that she didn't pay the slightest attention to the company's name. Moonlight Entertainment. It was the small scam company that blew up in her previous life. It survived by hunting for trainees everywhere, making them pay for classes, then packing them up and selling them to another shady sweatshop, a company with no qualifications. The trainees who went there back then had it rough. They spent hundreds of thousands of dollars and never got any stage opportunities, learned nothing, and were just sent into another den of wolves. I heard only one out of dozens of trainees managed to escape, and even that was because her family was wealthy and paid over $1 million in contract-breaking fees to secure her freedom. Sophia didn't know, because when it happened, she was lost in the new life at university, joining one club after another and having the time of her life, not thinking at all about the dream she once insisted on, even at the cost of skipping school. And her nostalgia for that dream only surfaced when she argued with me and blamed me. Linda Johnson didn't say anything more. She soon thought of other amusing things, bantering back and forth with Michael Johnson and laughing nonstop, and I smiled, eyes crescent-shaped, chiming in. After the move, I thought I wouldn't see the Taylor family again, but unexpectedly the next day, when I met Jake Wilson and we passed a shop, Emily Taylor suddenly popped out and caught us right on the spot. Having not seen her for a while, even considering that she had been ill, Emily Taylor, who had previously taken good care of herself, looked noticeably haggard, sunken eyes, chapped lips, and an overall sickly appearance. Jake Wilson hadn't arrived yet. Seeing only me, a look of delight flashed across Emily Taylor's face. She grabbed my arm and chattered nonstop, mostly complaining about our heartless departure and about her daughter going to Los Angeles for training and not even being able to come back for the new year. Aunt Emily, I pull my hand back. Sorry, I have something else to do. I'm leaving. My attitude clearly surprised Emily Taylor. After a moment, she stopped me again, her tone reproachful. Ethan, why are you getting more and more childish as you grow up? Annie already let you off for not answering your calls before. Why are you being so disobedient? Emily Taylor relaxed her shoulders, smoothed her hair, and her tone turned earnest and admonishing. Annie knows, you've always liked Sophia. Now that Sophia has gone to Los Angeles to become a big star, it's not impossible for you to be with her. I looked into the woman's eyes and could tell she didn't have any good ideas up her sleeve. I heard your family moved into a big house. You haven't sold the old one yet, right? Here's what you do. Give Annie the keys. Annie can keep an eye on it for you for free. Do some cleaning now and then. This year for the new year, if it doesn't work out, you can come stay with us. If Sophia knows someone is looking after things here, she'll feel more at ease. Emily Taylor chatted away, laying out every arrangement clearly. When she gets the keys to my house, she can easily rent it out. She'll get a fair amount of dollars coming in each month for free. I won't spend the new year at my own place. Instead, I'll go to her house. Partly to teach my parents a lesson, and partly to find an inexpensive son and an ATM. How could I not see through Emily Taylor's scheming? I just smiled about it and agreed readily. And Emily, you go home and wait for me. I'll tell my parents. You and Uncle Robert don't buy anything else or spend money. I'll buy everything and bring it all when I go. Emily Taylor's face brightened, and she praised me several more times before reluctantly leaving. I patted the spot she had grabbed, sneered, and walked away. I had a very good New Year. I suppose Sophia's parents probably didn't fare as well. Of course, I wouldn't give them the keys, and I certainly wouldn't bring any food. During the new year, it's hard to buy anything, especially vegetables, fruit, rice, and flour. Even if you can buy them, the price will be doubled. They now have to support a daughter chasing her dreams, so of course they can't bear to spend that money. I didn't hide the fact that I conned the Taylor's parents. I told Michael Johnson directly. Knowing Emily Taylor still wanted to trap me into working for their family for free, Michael Johnson only complained that I hadn't cheated them even more ruthlessly at the time. They really showed them up. What the hell, expecting my college son to take care of those two old people? Michael Johnson glared. No way. If they dare cause trouble, I'll take them on. What the hell? I watched Dad's total favoritism and laughed until I hiccuped. But what I didn't expect was that before the year was over, Sophia came back. Not only that, she brought a boy with her. When Sophia and that guy met me on the street, the two of them were cozied up to each other, whispering sweet nothings. Seeing me appear, Sophia instinctively pushed him away. The guy staggered a step, his face immediately turning sullen. Sophia, what are you doing? But you begged me to come back with you. Sophia panicked for a moment, immediately placating the guy, yet couldn't help glancing at me. Maybe it was the habit she developed over more than 20 years of marriage to always be on guard whenever there was a whiff of infidelity. Even though we aren't married anymore, she couldn't shake that vigilance overnight. I glanced at her. When my eyes swept over the boy beside her, he looked oddly familiar, and after a moment, I suddenly realized why. I suddenly understood why, in the previous life, Sophia abruptly decided to go to Los Angeles to be a singer. I understood why Sophia, who had originally pledged herself to me, never spoke of the past again. I also understood why the later Sophia hated me so much. I couldn't help it and burst out laughing. When my mocking gaze met Sophia's, I silently cursed, then turned and left without hesitation. That boy was called Alex Carter. During our senior year, he briefly audited classes in our homeroom. He was handsome, vibrant, and completely different from the boys in our group who only knew how to study relentlessly. It can be said that during the brief time Alex Carter appeared, he had already become the male idol of all the girls. I just didn't expect Sophia to be one of them. Once the class lost power, Sophia casually sang a song by candlelight and was lavishly praised by Alex Carter, who even said that with her talent she could go to Los Angeles and become a big singer. Alex Carter was from Los Angeles. At that time, the two words Los Angeles were a place beyond reach for us in that 18-tier small county town. Now that I think back carefully, everything had signs to follow. After Alex Carter left, Sophia's attitude toward me changed too. She began to criticize me for eating too crudely, saying I wasn't as elegant as Alex Carter. She said I only knew how to study and didn't have a heart that wanted to see the world. She said I didn't know how to take care of myself, looking slovenly in the best years of my life. I suddenly smiled. At the time, I still naively thought she wanted me to become a better person, so she offered me suggestions. Looking back now, it was nothing more than her not finding even the slightest resemblance to Alex Carter in me, and after venting her impotence on someone else, she started nitpicking me nonstop. Even when we later married, she wore a face as cold as ice, and after registering the marriage, she suddenly said, "Are you satisfied now?" As if I had forced her to marry me, as if I had forced her to be intimate with me. She can't control herself, yet expects me to bear all the consequences. That's how Sophia handles things. I don't know how Sophia managed to reconnect with Alex Carter after arriving in Los Angeles. All I know is that the Taylor household had a lively year. I heard that Alex Carter left the Taylor's house in a fury, slamming the door and storming out in less than half an hour. Sophia chased after her white moonlight and, astonishingly, went straight back to Los Angeles with her, without giving my parents a single explanation. Linda Johnson loved to pry. She secretly asked around and learned that the first time Emily Taylor saw Alex Carter, she sneered that Alex Carter had lured her daughter away. But Alex Carter was not someone to be trifled with. He flipped the Taylor family's greasy dining table on the spot and then turned and left. My parents enjoyed watching the Taylor family's humiliation, then happily sent me back to college, repeatedly telling me to just focus on my studies and that I didn't need to worry about anything else. I used my spare time to start writing more pieces. Unbeknownst to anyone, I had already successfully finished 3 million-character novels, and the advances I received were staggering. But at that moment, Sophia suddenly added me to her contacts. I refused a few times, and she kept changing numbers to add me. I was so annoyed I had no choice but to accept. After becoming friends, Sophia perfunctorily exchanged a few greetings with me, then immediately began complaining nonstop about how hard life had been since she went to Los Angeles. There are too many people chasing dreams. Her qualifications weren't particularly outstanding to begin with. It was just a gift for sweet talk and a fairly attractive appearance that drew attention, and it was by those things that she managed to catch Alex Carter. But after she chased him down, the Alex Carter who had sounded so handsome and noble in her mouth seemed to fall off his pedestal. After a period of intense romance, Sophia couldn't restrain her nature and began to demand that Alex Carter take care of her. But Alex Carter wasn't me. For him, being in a relationship with Sophia was already a concession of status. How could he possibly go and take care of her like I would? So Sophia was soon dumped, and along with that came the agency's sudden financial collapse. I'm really unlucky to end up at a company like this, having to practice vocal music 14 hours a day. How happy I'd be if I were still at school right now. Ugh, everyone in Los Angeles is so snobby. I'm just temporarily not famous yet. It's not like I'll never be famous, and they won't even have a drink with me. I switched to a new company, and this one isn't any better. If I'd known, I might as well not have come. Los Angeles is nowhere near as great as people say. The people here are terrible, not as simple and honest as folks from our little county. I had Sophia's messages set to do not disturb, so I only glanced at them occasionally. When I saw her sentence this time, I couldn't help laughing out loud. Yes, people in small county towns are simple, so the Taylors took advantage of that. In a last life, they barked orders at me, treating me like a servant. From beginning to end, I was the clown. Actually, no matter what Sophia chose, she would regret it, because she had never truly made sacrifices, nor had she ever worked hard at anything. She was used to having everything arranged for her, but whenever things displeased her, she would blame others for everything. She believed that if others had forced a path on her, choosing a different path would surely be better. People always like to romanticize the alternative they didn't take, and Sophia was especially like that. Selfish, cowardly, irresponsible, good at avoiding things. This is Sophia Taylor. The beautiful dreams she spoke of, after actually going through them herself, turned out to be not that great. After fully coming to terms with that, I blocked Sophia again and even changed all my contact information and accounts. Someone so disgusting should be left in the past to rot and stink. But I didn't expect that after losing contact with me, Sophia would actually come all the way from Los Angeles to find me. In my sophomore year, having earned some money from writing books, I used memories from my previous life to start a small media company, Nova Media. I hurriedly signed several new media influencers who hadn't become popular in my previous life and gradually arranged their operations. Soon, their accounts began to show improvement. One after another, advertisements followed. I spent my days busy with my studies and the company, brought my parents to live with me, and even bought them a house. My parents were ecstatic, bragging to their friends every day about how accomplished their precious son was, and they kept scrolling through short videos to see if there were any suitable influencers I could sign. Once, right after I finished my school's exam, I hurriedly left to go to a meeting at Nova Media. As soon as I stepped off campus, someone suddenly grabbed me by the waist and wouldn't let go. "Honey, I finally found you." After I forcefully shoved the other person away, I realized it was Sophia Taylor. Sophia was wearing a somewhat shabby dress, and low-grade makeup had smeared across her face, making her look as if she'd been beaten. On top of that, she reeked of an overpowering perfume and still tried to cling to me, but I dodged in time. "I know you were reborn too. Husband, you don't understand. The days without you by my side were really unbearable." Sophia chattered on, and in a few sentences made me understand what was going on. Through Emily Taylor's tip-offs, she learned I had started a media company and traced it to the accounts of artists under my management. Having been reborn as well, She quickly realized I had become a wealthy, high-value tycoon. For her, returning to seize me was a more sensible move than continuing to chase dreams in Los Angeles. Sophia blocked me, putting on a show of deep feeling. Husband, although we've been reborn, we can start over. Have you forgotten? We still have our adorable Olivia. In our last life, the 5 of us were together. How happy we were. I looked at Sophia's act coldly and couldn't help rolling my eyes. Ma'am, please get your head straight. Have you forgotten why we were reborn? Sophia's expression was clearly a bit off, and her eyes began to flicker unconsciously. The mess from my last life, I don't want to repeat. I'm just glad that this life, I finally don't have to marry you. I exhaled, unable to hide my look of disgust. You always use the excuse that I ruined your dreams and trapped you with marriage to accuse and abuse me, and you can even confidently pin everything on me in front of Olivia. Sophia Taylor, I want to ask you too. This life I haven't stopped you. So where's your dream of being a singer? Where are those glory days when you became famous overnight? Why haven't you brought your Empress mother to live in Los Angeles yet? Oh, I almost forgot. I shook my head at Sophia. This life your mother is sick and still working to make money to support your dreams. I heard your family even sold a house to buy you an electric guitar. Sophia, do you even know how to use it? Sophia's face went very ugly, and a savage look suddenly flashed in her eyes as she grabbed my arm. Ethan Johnson, who do you think you are? No matter how you act, we've slept together, and you raised Olivia for over 20 years. Do you think you can get away with it just because you were reborn? A malicious look fell on me from Sophia, and she snorted twice. You've got some reputation now, and if I go out and say which part of your body has a mole, accuse you of sexually harassing me, do you think your Nova Media would be affected? If you have the guts, go ahead and say it. I snapped, jerking my arm free, my look at her nothing but disgust. Reborn once, and all you can do is smear my name to get what you want. Sophia Taylor, can you do something that makes people respect you? I called the guard at the door and told him Sophia is not a student at our school. Just like Sophia said, after all we're married, we know exactly what to say or do to get to each other. With the guard holding Sophia down, I took the chance to grab a taxi and get out of that place of trouble. The first thing I did after returning to Nova Media was call in a blogger who hadn't broken out yet, and spent the whole afternoon talking with him in the office. A short video drama went viral online. The main content inside is about a young man who, at the neighbor aunt's request, goes to the train station late at night to find his childhood sweetheart. The young man's parents, worried about him, chased after him and had a car accident. The young man's good neighbor took the opportunity to pretend to be a good person, drove away the young man's other relatives, and coaxed the young man into getting engaged to his own daughter. Then, having insured passage before buying a ticket, he gradually usurped the young man's family property step by step. I turned the story of Sophia Taylor and me into a short drama. This format was still relatively novel at the time, and because the content was half true and half fabricated, it quickly provoked a huge response online. That woman is just inhuman. Her husband works so hard every day, and all she does is eat and drink, dreaming of being a singer. What kind of singer lives off talk all day? She's been reborn, and when her own dream fails, she has to cling to someone else. Does she have no shame? If I had a daughter like that, I'd rather strangle her. That woman's parents aren't any good either. They're both deadbeats. The internet was in an uproar, and the little vlogger who shot it became a 1 million follower creator overnight. I took the opportunity to book several ads with him and made a fortune. Of course, Sophia Taylor wouldn't let me off that easily. She deliberately spread salacious rumors about me online and portrayed our interactions as extremely ambiguous. Some netizens actually believed her and joined in criticizing me. I didn't hold back either. I sent lawyers' letters to each of them. After all, the trajectories of the two lives were completely different, and the idea of being reborn twice was too incredible. No one would really believe it. Sophia was quickly caught. The rumor she spread was forwarded over 30,000 times, and she had even paid for fake accounts to boost it. She essentially ruined herself. Emily Taylor and Robert Taylor were frantic, trying everywhere to find contact information for our family, but to no avail. During this time, the company in Los Angeles also sued Sophia. Sophia defied the company's arrangements, left the company without permission, and participated in activities with multiple people. All the alleged crimes were listed by Sophia's company, and I was somewhat surprised when I heard them. It seems that although Sophia isn't famous yet, she's quite adept at cozying up to the powerful. Sophia asked someone to contact me, hoping that out of past favors I could help her hire a good lawyer. She promised she'd repay me after she gets out. Repay me? I think revenge would be a more accurate word. I had someone throw them out, then replied, "In your dreams." I can let go of seeking revenge over last life's events, but I won't pretend nothing happened. I will watch Sophia Taylor's life spiral worse and worse with my own eyes, watch my dear in-laws at their age running around for her endlessly. That's how it should be. I got into the new sports car I bought and drove to Nova Media. A proper life, the correct life trajectory. My life will only shine brilliantly, dazzlingly bright. Epilogue. When Sophia Taylor was arrested, she was stunned. Facing the police accusations, she instinctively wanted to protest, but didn't know what to say. In the end, gritting her teeth, she only insisted that she and Ethan Johnson were husband and wife. Yes, they were husband and wife. Last life, her mother had already said that the two were husband and wife. Ethan Johnson, a lonely man, and it was already quite good that she was willing to marry him. Actually, she used to think Ethan Johnson was fine, gentle, modest, and able to soothe her. But after Alex Carter appeared, it was different. That flamboyant, passionate youth stirred every bit of Sophia's adolescent fervor. By comparison, Ethan Johnson was just too bland. After the two of them got married, Sophia heard from a high school classmate that after Alex Carter returned to Los Angeles, he went to college. And before graduating, he started dating a very famous singer. On the day they announced it, even Weibo crashed. Hearing those things made Sophia unbearably jealous. If she had stuck to her dream back then, would she be the one with Alex Carter now? Because of this, she began to resent Ethan Johnson, who had stopped her back then, even thinking that if he hadn't stopped her, her parents wouldn't have died and she wouldn't have been forced into an engagement with him. So all of this is Ethan Johnson's fault. If she hadn't gotten engaged and married to him and given birth to Olivia so early, she might still have had a chance to pursue her dreams. Sophia deliberately tormented him for more than 20 years. Every time she saw Ethan Johnson grow angrier, she was especially pleased, thinking it was his just deserts. She even told Olivia that Ethan Johnson only lost his temper and was a bad father, unlike herself, who had a better temper. Olivia was young. After a few years of insisting, she was convinced and joined her in opposing Ethan Johnson. Only Sophia hadn't expected to get a chance to be reborn, and she certainly hadn't imagined that life after rebirth would be so different from what she pictured. She was a little tired and even began to miss the days in her last life when Ethan Johnson took care of her. She'd heard that Ethan Johnson was wealthy now, which was perfect. If they got back together now, she wouldn't have to live a hard life like before. Sophia fantasized that, perhaps with Ethan Johnson spending money, he could even single-handedly make her rise to fame. But this dream finally shattered when she was arrested, and Sophia never expected that her company in Los Angeles would also be implicated. Upon learning about the huge compensation she would have to pay and that she might go to prison, Sophia completely panicked. No, this is wrong. This isn't how her life should be. Could she start over again? When Sophia's dyed, multicolored hair was shaved off, she stared blankly at the mirror before her, finally closing her eyes as a single clear tear fell. She regretted it. So, could she have another chance?